Now, all right. So, hey, how are you?
That's not Jared.
Hey.
If you're in your home, you're not wearing one of these things, and you're doing better than we are. So,
It's bad.
so tonight,
I turned off my phone.
is that me?
Oh,
it's
that's
me.
you.
It's me this
That
time.
is you.
Oh,
And
sorry.
I take my phone on, and he goes, "Turn off your phone." This week, he left his phone on, and I feel very satisfied in that.
It was me this time. I'm
Yay.
sorry, guys. I'm really sorry, guys. So, so here we are. I can't even. This
This is
crazy.
gonna be.
This is crazy. Can't even talk. So if you don't know why we're doing this, just Google Pennsylvania mask, and you'll see there's some new. The rules changed again today, and so this is what we're doing now.
Hi, this is Tim. Am I good?
Technical
Okay,
difficulties.
great, good.
He just sounds farther in the background, but
All right.
it's on.
All right. So, the reason why we're here, we have a special guest tonight. You notice that that's not Jared.
Hey.
Jared's on vacation, or on his way back from vacation, I think. And so we thought it was a great opportunity to have Marla sit in. About 3 weeks ago, we made the announcement that Betty Jo would be stepping down from leading our children's ministry. We had a great week. This past week, we had a great Sunday celebrating her and honoring her and the faithful leadership that we've had from her for almost 40 years, I think is what we figured out.
30.
You said 1980, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that 40?
Yeah, it's 40. I think
Wow.
I said 30 on Sunday.
That was that
but
year when math in
I'm
Texas was not a big thing.
Yeah, no. Math is not my thing. And so Betty Jo's stepping down, and Marla Ashton is stepping up. So her hire was the culmination of this process that started almost a year ago. We started talking about how to address recent growth in our children's ministry. And so we're excited to have her sitting in. And, we went through this process. We started dreaming about it, thinking about it about a year ago. Maybe then in November, we put something into the budget, which was approved, put the position in. And so that passed, and that kind of gets us to where we are today. So we'll talk a little bit more about what happened between then and now a little bit. She came to us in December, and so we'll get to that, I'm sure. But let's start there. Let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
Marla,
Good
so
place.
you came to us in December and started asking questions about the position, and I gotta be honest, you guys know this, it totally went over my head. She was asking questions about the position. I thought she was just curious. I did not even catch what was happening until the second or third time that we talked. And so what was going on in December? What prompted you to inquire?
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me here. It's a real pleasure. This part is hard, but can you hear me okay with all of it? Okay. All right. Well, really, when I came to talk to you, I was just exploring possibilities. I've been here forever. I love the parents and the kids at Crossing. And I was praying like everybody else was as we were transitioning to a new system. But I also had this kind of a nagging, smoldering, crazy idea that I was kind of exploring as well to see. I was saved as a teen, so I didn't grow up in a Christian home. And I remember enough about the before to the blessings of after and the kind of heartache and wrong turns of before I met the Lord to have developed a passion for kids and youth, so early discipleship. So basically, I've been working in youth and kid ministry, not quite as long as Betty Jo, but I was thinking it's been close to 30 years.
Oh.
I started before Johnny was born, right after we got married, right? And so it's been...
John's sitting over there.
Yeah,
She's
John's
not
over
asking
there.
you. She's asking him.
She was asking the sound guy.
Everybody, or all
Could
you
please
out
tell her
there.
she's a married sound guy, back there.
Yeah, well, thanks. I've been working in that, but over time, there was kind of a disturbing statistic that kept creeping into the ministry of how many kids growing out of high school were continuing on in strong faith, that their discipleship process had been effective. And early on, like years ago, it was like 40% weren't coming back. And then it got to be 50 and 60, and now it's like 70% of the kids graduating were not finding church relevant or their faith strong. So I just started wondering, if we could do better. Well, this whole time I've just been kind of asking the Lord, can we do better with our kids? So anyhow, all that to say, along with that, I'm a home educator. We've homeschooled our kids all along. And
Did you homeschool Johnny from the very beginning? Oh, okay.
Yeah, A says He was 4 years old, and I can still picture all of that. It was wild, yeah.
Yeah.
But
sorry, Johnny. John. Did you homeschool John
I
from the
call
very
him
beginning?
Johnny. It's going to be Johnny forever, I'm afraid. But among the community that I've served recently of homeschool people, of a particular group that looks at home education as a discipleship platform for bringing up their kids. So the parents intentionally work to disciple their kids for the Lord, to know God and make him known on the platform of academics. And their outcomes are, it might not be my husband's a statistician, it might not be completely right, but a lot better on the outcomes, like 10%
that
or
why,
less.
Betty? I mean, tell me if I'm characterizing my wife correctly, but what she saw happening in the homeschool program you're in, she felt like that model was better than the Sunday school model that most churches had. Is that an overstatement or not?
I'm not sure Betty's position on that particular point, but I know personally I had more significant spiritual conversations in one semester in this classroom because we're looking to develop a biblical worldview among our kids.
Well, I think
than I had in all of the other.
I might be overstating it, which I don't usually do on Wednesday nights.
You never do that.
But I mean, I think that's what Betty got her interest in CC, in classical conversations. It was because she felt like that the intermingling of the parental involvement with the children and the spiritual dynamic of it was really important and was really unique and wasn't happening in most Sunday school programs. I hope I'm saying that correctly, but that's really what got her attention, so she saw that there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a discipleship program that really looks to equip the parents to train up their kids, and then provides great programs that encourage the kids to grow and have fun doing it and keep doing it. So those two things, I was exploring that day, actually, just to see if this would even be something that we'd want to explore. I know it was not exactly what was thought of at the beginning, and so really that's why I asked you, because I just wondered if there was something here in the homeschool community. It can't be as effective as it could be in the actual body of Christ. So I wonder if there wasn't some kind of a matchup here that could be used for the kingdom.
Yeah, because you're thinking more, and we'll get into this, but you're thinking more, a lot more parent involvement, and so something that is a little bit more like equipping parents to be more involved than than kind of the traditional Sunday school model, drop off, pick up after we're done, and maybe take home a sheet or something like that they can do at home. But you're talking about something that would be as focused on the parents as it is on the kids, if not even more, maybe. Right?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think the verbiage we use in the homeschool community that I serve is something along the lines of, what are your goals for your family and how can we support you in them? Instead of, come to our wonderful program and we'll take care of the rest. So I really think God has put kids in families in churches. And I think if we just bypass completely the parental role in the discipleship of the kids, we're missing a strategic opportunity. And I think the kids can really enjoy growing with their family. Relationships are strong. The parents will take the kids to connect with the church more. The kids become bonded to the church and the rest of the body of Christ. And again, I've seen bunches of teenagers grow up in this environment, and they just serve and they love serving, and they go to church and they love on each other. So I don't know, that's kind of what I was thinking.
And you end up discipling the parents too at the same time.
Well, I think they kind of, as you're teaching someone else, don't you end up discipling yourself along the way? The Lord disciples you too. So that's the benefit of it.
And I think that there have been certain histories, seasons perhaps is a better word, in Crossing's history. I'm using that word twice. Anyway, I just see that there have been certain times when the dynamic among those parents who all raised their kids at the same time, they're still very close people. And in particular, I mean, I'm thinking about the Nolinskys and the Rileys and the Montanians and that whole group of people. they're tight because they all raise their kids together, and so they're still good friends. And so that kind of bond that happens in a church when that thing is happening, where they're all raising kids together as opposed to separately, I think that there's a lot of health that brings into the church body as well. There's a lot of connectivity there that is more intentional than we hope it happens,
Yeah, I think you're onto a really important point about the community aspect of bringing up kids for the Lord. I think that we only need each other.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the elders, and we are always swapping kids, and they're like an aunt and uncle, if not parents, to my kids most of the time. And a lot of people are
all
like that.
five of them? That's pretty good, man.
Not so much the old. Well, kind of, actually. He's done.
He's done 2 weddings now. That's right. Yeah.
In a very positive way.
Premarital counseling for 2 of them. So.
I would say that's a good rule. So at
yeah,
any
that's
rate,
really
I think it
good.
takes the whole community to really
Yeah.
to pull this together. And so I'd love to see lots of bonds, lots of connections between families and kids and the rest of the church. So
Yeah.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about homeschooling all your boys, and you actually there's a homeschool group that meets here, a couple days a week, and you led that group for a number of years. And so how do you think that, like your experience leading that group, so you have a particular set of experience because you've raised and personally homeschooled 5 boys, but then leading that group, because it's not a small group, how do you think that leading that group has equipped you to step into this, if that makes sense?
Yeah, it does.
Right, leading that, leading this homeschool group and the things that you're doing with them. You kind of already alluded to it a little bit, but what kind of experience do you think that you bring, or how do you feel equipped to do this job because of what you've done there or learned there, maybe? Yeah,
well, that's a good question. My role with them was I call it a support representative, but basically I raised up leaders, helped them to understand this mission to know God and make Him known is their mission, and then how we're going to equip parents and encourage kids. And it's a learning style. Like, kids learn in different ways throughout the developmental stages. So we kind of address that. So finding leaders, raising them up, equipping them to lead others and support families to train up kids is something that I had the pleasure of serving, right, having teams of people come up. We started communities, we grew programs, we just reached out to parents and supported them intentionally, and they kind of grew themselves. So I kind of think that's something that could transfer here. I'm hopeful, at least, that.
For some people who might think that without a context for what happens here on Mondays and Fridays with classical conversations, they might think, well, that's nice. That's probably like 3 families. On a Friday, on a Monday right now, this past semester, when people used to go to school, how many children would be here on that Monday?
Oh goodness, Heather's probably going to kill me. I'm not sure exactly. So we probably had like 20 to 25 high school, junior high kids here, and then Heather probably had like 35 plus their parents.
Right.
Kind of
And
here.
so I just bring that up for scale purposes, because if someone doesn't really know the context for that, and a lot of people don't, they might be going, well, then that's nice you had a few children, but we're talking about 20 or 30 in the groups, and then you guys also do programming for the younger kids when the older kids are here, and you're also coordinating all the parent kind of activities you're doing as well. And so there is a lot of correlation to the two things. So I just want, I'm just trying to give context for someone who doesn't familiar with CC.
Yeah, no, that's great. And there's the parent equipping events, because we are very serious about making sure the parents are encouraged and know what they need to do and find their resources. So
right.
I think that's something that could be useful here too in this setting. But.
Well, and one of the things that I think that I saw that happens in CC that I think I've already seen you begun to do here, and that's I think this might be more of a personal value for you as much as it is, a cultural one for all that. And that's that you just have a high value of bringing other people into the process and of delegating and including a lot of people. You're willing to do that hard work to bring others in, Whereas people like myself are always like going, oh my gosh, it's too much work to work with all these people, and so then when it's too much work to work with all those people, I just ask Steve to do it.
Yeah.
So, so anyway, I just think that that's another thing you're bringing to this, that you have a vision for, and you
thank you.
also are good at,
Well, thank you.
and you've already begun doing that. So
I think it's important. I think the more people serve, others are going to grow themselves. They're going to have ideas. The conversation is going to get richer about how we do this. And so a lot of good things happen. Thank you.
Yeah. So I feel like we've already talked about it a little bit, but wanted to hear a little bit about the big vision for children's ministry. So, taking those kind of concepts and raising up leaders and discipling children through the parents, all those kind of things. We've alluded to those things or touched on those, but how would you sum up your big vision?
Okay.
That your goals or measures of success, how will you leave this ministry feeling like it was a success one day?
That's a very big question. Isn't that a big question? That's a big question,
that's
too.
what we ought to be asking all of our ministers to do. What does success look like? I mean, I've asked myself that for 12 years here at Crossing, and I'd love for someone to come up with an answer sooner than later. So
I'll take a stab at it. We can go from there. I guess it's personally, myself, my family. I go to the scripture for that. I look at Luke 10:27 says, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your mind, soul, with all your strength, and love with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself." I look at Matthew 28:19 and 20. It says, "Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I've commanded you." And I look at those as that's the bar. You know what I mean? So everything we do should be going to those things. The way we conduct ourselves with each other, we should be loving our neighbor as ourselves. We should be maintaining holiness standards, so we're loving God in action. And really just training up everyone around us, starting with our own youngest brothers and sisters for the Lord, teaching them to obey, it's not really a classroom activity, It's more a training activity. So I guess that's a very big kind of, everybody would see that, but there's applications to that and things too. That's kind of where I start and stop. When I get overwhelmed by things, I go to these. Is this working based on that, or is there something not that needs to be fixed?
Yeah.
But along with that, I would like to, along lines of raising up leaders, I would love to create a parent leadership team, like a parent advisory team that would come along. And that would be another barometer of how we're doing, like listening to them, designing programs that meet needs, hearing about how they're doing, not just with, programming, but also with their lives with their kids. What kind of resources could they use? So that's one thing that I would love to put into place also. And I think that's another way we can evaluate the effectiveness, is to hear from our parents and even our kids and hear what they think. So...
Yeah.
I'll
I'm
answer.
looking at.
What's that?
Normally we're like watching and trying to keep up with some of the comments as they're coming in, and it's very quiet tonight. There's not a whole lot going on here. The only couple of comments are about us wearing masks.
There's only quite honestly, I looked through our viewers, and most of them are beyond the parent bearing years, and so. I am interested in a few of you, like Tara and Christina, Sarah, Bree. I see some of you in here who are still highly parenting, and I'd love to know what questions or comments or hopes that you have for your child being in a Sun Country type of ministry or children's ministry. Or something like that.
A lot of the ones that you were previously referring to may have grandchildren in the ministry.
I ain't gonna go there because I know those ladies.
I'm just saying they're still, or they're serving. Some of them might be serving.
And that's the other thing.
You know what? So I noticed that I mentioned the Noah Linskys and the Montagnes in this, and now they're all watching, and so they must have heard that I mentioned their name, Paul. And no, this is Paul. I mentioned Mary Nolinsky and the Rileys and Mary Montagne. So now they have to go back and listen to the whole podcast to find out what I said about them. So.
Yep. So So let's talk about, let me go back first. So we talked about a little bit about December. You came and were asking questions. So let me just do a really brief timeline of events to get us to, to kind of where we are today. So you came in December and had some questions about the ministry, and kind of feeling like the Lord was maybe leading you into this. And so we took a break over the Christmas break. We kind of just said, all right, let's pray about it. So we took a couple weeks to pray because it was Christmas and nothing was happening anyway. So we said, let's pray about it over the break and we'll talk in January. So January we got back, and then we had a few conversations and kind of started interviewing, I guess, a little bit, and just seeing if this might be where the Lord was leading. And so January, February, I had you put some things together for us, and along the same lines of these questions, like,
Lots of questions.
give us your vision and all that kind of stuff. And we had lots of questions for you. You had questions for us, and we're going along, and things were working out, I thought, really great. We're kind of all, the three of us were starting to meet together and dream a little bit about what the future of our children's ministry might look like. And then March came, and the bottom fell out of the whole world. And so we had put everything on pause. And so we sat on pause for a little while. And about the end of May, we decided we need to pick it back up. A little bit of that was kind of at Betty Jo's prompting, like, you guys need to do this. This is a good thing. And so we picked it back up at the end of May. We finalized the process. And so here we are. But the reason it's drug out has been because of this virus. And so along the lines of this virus, we've had talks about unique opportunities that we've had in the larger context of the church. And so we've done that on some previous Wednesday nights. We've talked about opportunities for growth in the home and personal growth and, family reset, all kinds of things that this virus has given us that we didn't really know. And we're still figuring out what it means for us to go back to services and kind of what our future looks like with new opportunities. Maybe we've identified some blind spots, I think, a little bit. We found some areas where we thought we were doing some things really well. And so this has been a little bit of a time for self-reflection for us. But we've had some discussions about unique things the virus has given us, some unintended consequences a little bit, and opportunities that we have in children's ministry. So what do you see as some of those opportunities?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's always a silver lining, I think. But I think the fact that all we can do is minister to kids through families right now. All of our traditional, really great programming has had to be put on kind of pause also. But I hope that I hope we can reimagine and explore possibilities so that we're not putting discipleship of kids on hold and equipping parents and all that kind of stuff. So I think the fact that we have to reinvent that now to continue to serve during these unknown days when who knows what's going to come next will give us kind of a springboard into a new normal that really includes a lot of parental equipping, a lot of joy and that kind of thing. As kids walk with their parents learn as they're growing with their kids, the church all works together and grows as a whole for the kingdom.
Yeah. You want to?
No, I'm not sure. I think my comment goes later in the discussion.
Oh.
So, yeah.
But I think that process is going to be tricky because it's going to mean communicating. It's a whole new thing, and it's done distance-wise. So I would love to work together with everybody and connect, individually, but in groups like the thing tomorrow. I'd love to hear from people.
What thing tomorrow? Ideas. What thing tomorrow?
The thing tomorrow that we're figuring out if we're going to be inside or outside. But we have a thing scheduled tomorrow night for parents and for all of our volunteers to come. And so tomorrow night from 6:30 to 8, Sun Country parents or parents with kids who are and
it could be anyone. It could be anybody, but
it really could.
Yeah. Sun Country, we've kind of traditionally defined that as out of the nursery, I guess, to 5th grade. So when I say Sun Country, I mean like all of, anyone with kids, any little kids, babies too, because they will start this young. I mean, well, that's what we're talking about. If we're talking about something that's more geared to kids, but with a bigger focus on parents, then we
Even
want them
before
when
they
they're
have
babies.
kids.
And really, I mean, I know that Jared and Grace will be here because Grace
I'm
is
glad to
excited to
hear it,
hear about what's happening, and theirs isn't even here yet. So, but that's really when we want to get them. And so tomorrow night from 6:30 to 8, we have an opportunity for parents and for volunteers to come and hear just a little bit more about this. Some of the information may be the same. There'll be some overlap, I'm sure, with some of the stuff that we talk about tonight, some of the things that are shared tomorrow night. But they'll be able to hear a little bit more about more like boots on the ground kind of stuff, maybe a little bit, and what to expect in the ministry. And really, just as important tomorrow night as them hearing from us or hearing from you will be you hearing from them, right? Because
I would say more importantly from my perspective.
Yeah. In the beginning stages here, I know that especially while we have a little bit of downtime, because we're not meeting, so like a lot of our planning is on pause. We have other plans that need to be made and other things that need to be done, but in terms of just running a program, that is that's on pause a little bit. So we have time. We have time to talk, we have time to listen, and we have time to sit down with our parents and our volunteers and hear from them as well. And so that's going to be a big component of our meeting tomorrow night. So if you can be here, be here. I'll try to post a link to the RSVP in just a little bit. I'll try to post that in here so parents, you can sign up and get more information about that.
Yeah,
so
that's good.
Yeah.
So, what time is it?
It's 7:25.
I can't read those kind of clocks. I need digital that tell me the numbers. It's true.
It's all right.
That's why I need you to tell me what time it was. 7:25.
I'm just sitting here thinking, why don't we have that kind of clock in the auditorium?
Well, maybe that's why I go
on the
over all
back
the
wall.
time. I bet you when we go back in, you're going to have a digital clock back there, aren't you? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
There's a couple questions in here that came up, and I think that I don't know what we should, whether you want to address some of these tonight or we're going to do them tomorrow night a little bit. But maybe these people can't come, so we should maybe address them. So this is one of them, Marla, that came in. Christina Gilardi. I'd love to hear ways that the kids ministry could get involved with our local community. I remember as a kid myself, the kids choir going to the local nursing homes and singing around the holiday seasons and all. Get ways to give back, being the hands and the feet of Christ. Never too early to learn and see that modeled in her own humble opinion, she says.
It's a great idea. I think that's exactly what we're talking about. I think serving together as a church body, but intentionally bringing little kids along with the families into these kind of opportunities instead of keeping them on the side.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea, Chris. Yeah. Let's do that.
And then Sarah, who she says on Facebook, I'm going to out her here. Sarah Elizabeth is really Sarah Swigert.
Okay.
And she said, I love practical tips on how to equip my baby. As someone that didn't grow up in a Christian home, I want to be spoon-fed steps and ideas. I recently heard that Marla read the Bible to her kids as a bedtime story. I love the idea, and it wasn't something I thought of. I'd love to learn more practical, maybe even simple, or kind of things to implement in my family.
There's nothing
Don't we
like
all,
that. There's
Sarah?
nothing like
Don't we
that.
all?
There's no manuals on these little people when they show up. But yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. And I think part of what I found when we were raising kids here is the community. We talk to each other and we develop ideas and bounce things off. But there's also, as we feel a need as a group, we can find resources and ideas, share experiences. So I think just keeping people in touch and sharing ideas like whatever that idea you found in a small group, I think, because you were sharing ideas. So I'm looking forward to enriching the fabric of the community among the parents and the whole church.
Yeah.
And a lot of that happens through communication, ongoing communication.
Serving together,
serving together and just doing a little bit more of what you've talked about, which is more intentionality with the parents. That we're more equipping them to not feel that way. What Sarah's saying is like, I don't necessarily feel equipped, or I'm looking for ideas or whatever because I don't know what to do. And that's how we all feel, and that doesn't necessarily go away as they get older.
It doesn't really, actually.
No.
But I think one of the things that it's maybe a little different. I would love to be in touch with the families on a regular basis, just to keep in touch with them, hear how they're doing, just personally, but then help, within the group and the leadership and all that. But just
Would it be too far to say, and maybe this is overstating it?
No,
But
you would never.
when you just said that, what I envisioned was like a shepherd to the families.
I mean, I don't know if I
say
could claim
pastor.
a
I didn't say a pastor of the families because I don't want any theological issues being thrown at me. But someone who's really walking along with families and helping them find resources to the individual things they might be kind of walking through at the particular time, and connecting them with families who are doing the same thing.
Well, that's exactly it, I think. To me, I look at it more as like an active support. I don't know if I could claim a shepherdship role, but I've been down the road longer.
She's trying to avoid it too. I know what she's doing.
No, I'm just saying in terms of the shepherd knows exactly what the sheep should do. I don't feel like I have that position.
Yeah.
But I can seek God with families and, look for wisdom and look
Yeah.
for resources, connect people.
Yeah.
But just intentionally, and also kind of bridge between the families and what's happening here, so we can all make the best of our opportunities is what I'm looking forward to. So,
I was thinking about a moment ago, you said something about communications and connections and things that people heard in small group and all, or maybe you did. You heard something in small group and all. And a moment ago, I talked about how the Rileys, Montanians, Nolinskis, all that kind of group raise their kids together and all. And I want to just comment that I see that happening here. Because I see your son and daughter-in-law and Eric Lewis and those guys. Eric's watching tonight, and the Swigerts. I mean, that's a group of families. The Belmonts, all those are raising those kids together.
They are.
And I think it's really exciting. And I hope they realize what they have in each other. And that so many families don't have that. They're raising them by themselves, or they're raising them with their parents, and that's a different dynamic altogether to try and do that, because parents always have an opinion and they think you ought to follow it. That's and but doing it together like that, I hope that all those families in our church realize what they have in each other, and that they're really being intentional about that, because it's golden.
it really is. I
it's
watch
golden
them.
for them to be able to be together like they are, and so to see this past week, I just want to commend the new gated baby area that sprouted up in our outdoor service. And so that was young moms like going, what are we going to do? And they worked together to do it. And so I think Sarah Elizabeth was at the helm of that, and I
They had a
think
stroller tent.
they had a stroller
Yeah, I saw that
tent,
with a sign. Kevin was making a
And
very
so-
nicely lettered sign. That was great.
And so that kind of stuff, to me as a pastor of our church, I'm thrilled with that, because they're parenting together and they're growing in Christ together, and it's just very exciting
I
to me
agree.
to see that. And so it's a huge shout out to all those families that are that are pinning their children together out there. We commend that very much. So
Yeah, I think it's what community is all about. There's a lot of joy and support, and it gives me a lot of joy watching the young ones connect. I mean, my kids and all the ones you're just talking about. I'm glad that they
I know
have
there's
each
more
other.
than that, so I hope I don't know if anyone I don't
There's a
mention,
pile
but-
of them, because there's the whole.
There's a
Yeah.
bunch now.
There's actually a lot. There's how many kids did you count yesterday? Represented by.
Yeah, what did you count? What is that?
I counted up. I think it was 61 or 62 kids that
that
we
birth
would
to fifth
call.
grade?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that we would call regular. In we say 26 or 27 or 28 families,
yeah.
something like that. So.
So it's cool. That's
And more on the
a
way.
good community already. It's just looking forward to it connecting,
Yeah.
being strong together.
Yeah, there's Kevin Walsh knows all of a sudden watching it. He heard, I mentioned him as well. He's another one of that that posse that all got raised together. The Walshes and Nolinskis and everybody. Yeah. So, there's two other comments I have, and now I've learned to look at your watch. I can now see if I can tell time
It's upside down
That's even
and
more of a
analog.
challenge for me. But two things about this is that this model of ministry we're talking about here, it really is looking to call our parents out from many, I'm trying to really be selective about this. Many church models have a very passive attitude about the role of parents in discipleship. And so what we're wanting to do is to really take the bar on parental discipleship and not raise it a little bit, but raise it as much as we possibly can stretch it. And say, this is your job, and we want to help you do it, and we want to be running alongside of you, and sometimes goading you along a little bit. But for the ideas we're talking about and the vision that we have for this ministry, it really does mean that parents have to step up huge and participate in a way that's really intentional. And it's not for the benefit of a church program, because most of the time people think, well, you just want that because you want more people at church or whatever the case may be. We really believe that a model like this is going to be the very best thing for families. And so if people want to take their success ratio for raising children and try and add fertilizer to it, we believe this is the best thing as a local church we can do to do that. So that's one thing. It's what we're talking about here is not a very passive thing at all. It's a very active thing. So our young parents are going to have to step into it a whole lot more. I hope that we have some of our older parents step into it as mentors a whole lot more. And then this is the other part. It also means more money. And so I'm looking at you, but that doesn't mean anything about you. But I'm just saying, but us as a church, to say that we want to do this and to bring on another staff person, it means that we have to be faithful and sacrificial in our giving to make sure that we can continue to keep this running without worrying about it, And so, we're behind a little bit in budget, I know, but not a lot. But it just means that that's just another part of the equation. And it's one of those kind of parts that no one likes to talk about, but it's true. It's just true. And that's so, for the success of the program, we're trying to put the people in part to build it, and we need the families to embrace it and to see the value of it and to help build it as well. That's part of what we're talking about here.
That's what it is.
It's not going to be something that we're telling you how to do it. We're saying we want to build something. We want to bring the families in to help us build it. But it also means that all of our families, not our young families, but the ones who've already raised their kids, they need to be giving faithfully and sacrificially.
Investing in the families themselves personally, I think.
Exactly, because they're investing in the next generation of Christians when they do this. And so, all right, I talked about giving. I'm done.
Thank
That
you.
wore me out. I'm going to take a nap.
I feel like we should go to commercial break now.
Exactly, yeah.
But there's also, in order for us to do this and do it right, do it well, there's also going to be some, some overlap or some bleed maybe into other generations that are not, that don't have the kids down here anymore.
Sure.
So we're talking, I think what we're envisioning, I think, is something that is maybe not as isolated as other church models. I think kind of what you're referring to. Like I think about some other churches that I've seen the way that it's been done. So, there are very clear and kind of just very real lines drawn around what children's ministry, youth ministry, and different, kind of different ministries like that. And what we're talking about is something that would be a little bit where the lines are more gray in between those ministries. There's a lot of overlap, and there's a lot of bleed between children's ministry and youth ministry and just adult ministry in general, because you have a lot of people who are investing, formally or informally, people who are just involved with those families and mentoring roles and different types of things like that you've kind of already mentioned. And so it is becoming a piece of a much larger puzzle. Yeah, I think it's
I hope
sort
so.
of evolving a little bit maybe into something that is just a little bit different than it's been, and not that not that one's better than the other or anything, but it's just different. It's where we feel like this is the direction that the Lord is leading us right now, where if we can connect these kids into the larger church in a different way, then maybe we increase our chances of them feeling connected and not losing them. To go back to the stats that you'd shared at the beginning, which I don't know where you got the stat from, like 70%. I've seen them as high as like 85 or 90. I think it depends on what source.
Yeah,
I'd love it if it was only 70, but
it's definitely someone selling children's programming.
Yeah. Oh yeah, probably.
The real stats might be something different, but if you're selling something, you got to pick the highest ones.
That
true.
could be. Yeah. But
Hope's asking what are some of the ways that we want to see parents of the little ones jump in. What does jump in mean? Did I say jump in? Was that from me?
You said it. It might have been from her. I don't know. Well, parents of little ones, Hope. I think.
Okay?
What's that?
Are you okay?
I'm still on.
Okay, good deal. We're still on? Okay, great. It's just me.
It's just you.
All right, good.
So what are some of the ways that we would see parents of little ones jumping in? What does jumping in mean?
Well, to me, Hope, I would just think it's taking Quincy along with you when you serve wherever you serve. There's going to be hopefully connection points for you and other parents to talk about this discipleship. This is a crazy thing. Sorry. Talking about how you're going to work with Quincy, what's going to happen. But really, he's going to go with you and serve like you serve with your big heart. And it's really getting involved with the church, just like bringing Quincy with you as much as you can, or cooperating with other people who can do things while you're serving. So I think it's just looking for opportunities, kind of thinking about what would you like to see Quincy be like when he's ready to move on into his adult life, thinking about the end from the beginning and kind of walking that through now. It's really not so much jumping into programming, I don't think, it's jumping into kind of a intentional discipleship mode with Quincy.
Well, and I think the other part of it though is that the parent equiping. That would be the other place that we're hoping to offer. Parent training classes, and I'm not talking about how to parent train their kids, how to train parents to do their kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Those are two different things there. And so parents taking advantage of those opportunities as well.
Absolutely.
But I will say this, that it's really easy to say that parents need to participate in those programs, but parents are not to be blamed for not participating in the programs if the programs are not any good. And so we will make every effort to always put the very best training opportunities forward we possibly can, and to try and make sure that the opportunities we offer are very worthwhile, and as parents, come into a situation that I don't think it was very worthwhile, they really need to speak into that and just say, we thought it could have been better for this.
Oh, absolutely.
That way we can be better at it. And that's what we want. We really want to grow and improve and all those kind of things.
Well, I think you hit on a real key strategic point is I would love to invite all the parents or anybody in the church that's interested in this ministry and kind of being involved in a leadership kind of advisory team that would meet on a regular basis. So it's not just...
She's doing it.
What am I doing?
That thing about bringing other people in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I think I'd rather hear opportunities and things that are going better and worse along the way before we have a big problem. So I think that's really I don't think it'll run otherwise. I think there's there was an article I read. I think you sent it to the Sunday School Syndrome. Is that you?
Well, yeah, I think Betty Jo and I both sent it to you.
Okay. So it's
not knowing that we both sent you the same thing. I think we both sent it to you.
Yeah, I forget the author. It was the author Ken Ham.
I think it was Ken Ham.
Yeah,
it was from Answers in Genesis.
It was.
Okay.
Sunday School Syndrome thing.
So personally, and I don't want to. I'm working on a ledge, but I think there's some harm done in too much programming without parental involvement. I think it's easy to the kids will bond easier to Sunday school programs and cookies than they will to actual discipleship sometimes. So I'm just about not willing to run big programs unless the parents are involved actively in doing that important work. And then we could have all the bells and whistles and fun we want and support it. but I don't want to, the stats that we're seeing over the last decades are caused by something. And I think that's been the thing. A lot of great ministries, a lot of well-intentioned things. That's what the article was citing. No fault, people doing it out of the goodness of their heart. But I think we missed the piece. They're really God-called parents to walk with their kids and train them up. So
Yeah.
kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
So, where are we?
Go ahead.
And you're running the show. Where are we?
We're good. You act like you were going to say something.
Well,
We're fine.
Where are we here in your order?
We're here,
Okay, good.
I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about this being part of a bigger puzzle and kind of how this all fits together now,
Yeah.
because it's not, like we said, it's kind of not, it's a break a little bit from what we've done. This year we're talking about, we need a lot more parents involved. We want more parents to take ownership of the kids' discipleship. And so we want to be training and pouring into the parents just as much as we are the kids. And so just talking about how that becomes part of a bigger piece of a puzzle, because that's not something that you're just going to come in here and make that change. That's going to come, like, I have to be willing to contribute to that. Jared has to be willing to contribute to that. You have to contribute to that. That is a paradigm shift that's not just going to happen with one ministry coming in with a different idea than everyone else.
Right. And really, to make that shift happen sooner than later, again, I'm placing the pressure on some of our parents. It's like, for them, if they were to jump into this and embrace it so wholeheartedly that they just, it moved us from like trying to get people to come along to saying, you guys need to slow down. We're building this as we go. And so to have our parents really embrace this right up front and get into it, that will help it jumpstart. And it might, because often these kind of changes are a 2 to 3 to 5 year shift. When you're talking about paradigm shifts, you're talking about multiple years. And so it's kind of like, for these parents that are here tonight watching this, for them to benefit the most from it, I'm sorry, but it's like they need to really help us build it now. Otherwise, it's going to be helping their second and third kids as opposed to this one that's, out there in the children's jail, on Sunday mornings, So,
Yeah, I think this time is really vital. I think that.
Okay. Go ahead.
What?
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I don't want to wait until we open back up. Ministry is not on hold till we open back up. We need to be ministering to our kids now. I think what you're saying is very on spot. I think there's a lot we can do together even during this transitional time. We've got ideas for how to do things around here, but more importantly, what's happening, what do you parents see for your ministry to your kids? How can we help you? How can we build a church together? So I don't want to wait till we get back. It's not like the ministry's on hold. Some of the programs are on hold so they can be reimagined and kind of reintegrated. But I'm excited about the opportunity.
Yeah. And I would say too, really, that that I personally believe, and it's not because I'm the pastor, because typically my glass is always half empty. But I have to honestly say,
How did you drink that?
a little half.
How did you even do that?
I have pulled it down.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to kind of slant, it's like.
Okay.
But typically my cup is half empty. He knows. He's learned to handle me. But I got to tell you, like, where we are as a church right now, I started to say coming out of a virus. I think we're going back into it now. But where we are as a church right now, in the middle of a virus, I think we're as good as we've ever been. I mean, I just think there are so many positive things happening. I hear stories about people who are doing things, that are just what you want to see as gospel things happening in lives. And so I'm very excited about where we are as a church. I'm very excited about doing ministry in a pandemic, I think. And
Except for this.
and I think that some of the changes we're making are really going to set us up to help us to navigate the virus better, and then even come out of it, not trying to pick up the pieces and figure out where to go. Yeah. We are going to come out of this thing moving forward, and really good. And when we come out of it, it's not going to be like, oh, well, now we can put the pedal to the metal, we will be ejected out of the virus. And we will be doing really, really well if God continues to bless us the way we are, and we continue to do the kind of things our people are doing and the way that they're being gospel-oriented people. That we're in a great place. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, granted, we have a lot of stuff we got to get through. I think that the mask thing right now is going to be the next thing that demonstrates how well we're doing, because our attitudes and our responses are going to be hugely indicative. Didn't mean to go down that path,
No,
but
it's
still.
true though. It really is true.
But I mean, I do think that this is just one more thing. What your vision is, and our ability to implement it, is just one more really great thing that's happening at Crossing Community Church, and that we get to be a part of. And so I really hope that our grandparents see that and will jump into it in whatever way they can. I mean, Laura Brees, just pray. You know, just pray. All right, just pray about
Always.
it. You know, and then and all. And then I just want to say one other thing, and that's why I'm looking at the clock, because this is the kind of comment that you kill an entire conversation with.
Oh, boy.
Yep. And so it's this. It's like, I really, really, really believe, and I might be one of the few or something like that, but I really believe that we are on the cusp of a really dark day for the American church and for American Christians. And if these young families want to know what they can do to take care of their kids for what's about to happen to the church, then they need to be investing in this program. Because the best thing they can do to protect their kids and to prepare their kids, because I think that we're more at that stage as American church, is not trying to change anything, but prepare for what's happening next. That's what I mean. That'll kill a conversation, won't it? Yeah.
No,
I get invited to a lot of parties talking like this, but I think that we need to be preparing for what's next. And if a young family wants to know what to do to prepare for what's next, it's invest in this program.
You get involved. I think what you're saying is true. Things are changing so fast, social paradigms, all kinds of things. I think that this generation and the ones raising them, as well as all the rest of us, need to really dig in with the Lord and with His Word and with each other. And so that's what I'm thinking. If you talk about a program, that's what I mean by a program. Really know the Bible, really internalize it, really practice living it, raise the bar way, way up, because that's what's going to get us through whatever's coming.
Because it's it's the parents who need to be doing that kind of discipleship to children.
Yeah.
You know, and all, you know, and it's, I've run out of things to watch on TV, and I started this new one last night. I'm not going to mention it because I'm not sure if I'm liking it or where it's going to go. And but the father was training a child, and it was like they were sitting at dinner, and he was like going, "If this happens, what happens?" And the child would go, "This," and he goes, "If this happens, what happens?" And he goes, "This," and he would say it in French, say it in this, say it in that, and they're like going, "That's what we need to be doing with our children, not because of where we're going, but that's what it means to be raised in the admonition of the Lord."
That's exactly it.
You know, I love the nativity story, and there's the scene in the nativity story where they sit around and they're telling the children a story. If you've seen it, you know, and they tell the children the story of Elijah, and as the adults tell the story, all the children are sitting there listening, and it comes to this one particular place, and she pauses, and all the children know the answer. You know, it's like, you know, he heard the Lord in the still small voice, and all the children knew the answer. And it's like, it's that kind of training where our children know the stories, and not only just know the stories, but they know the character of God. And that when the days get dark, the character of God is never going to leave them or forsake them. And it is the only dependable thing they have in life. Because mommy and daddy, sorry, I hope they're not listening right now. Mommy and daddy won't always be around, and you're not going to be able to depend on the government or any other movement, any other ism. You know, none of those things are going to take care of you. You have to be able to know the character of God is going to be there for you no matter what happens. And that happens when mommy and daddy teaches them that, and the Sunday school teachers are right behind them reinforcing it.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
That's my sermon for tonight.
No, I think you're right on. The Deuteronomy 6:5 talks about love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. But it says, recite it. Oh, I'll read the whole thing. Keep these words that I'm commanding you today in your heart. Recite them to your children and talk about them when you're at home and when you're away, when you lie down and when you rise. Sunday school can't do that. That's a parent's job. But that's what you're talking
It
about,
is.
I
It
think.
is. Because teachers only there for an hour a week.
And we can add a lot to everything. We can take the load off. We
Right.
can
It's
amplify.
exactly
We
what
can
we're talking
encourage the
about.
kids to enjoy all of the stuff that we have here to enjoy. But this is where the real work is, I think.
Yeah.
That's really true.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
it
why
really is
Jesus
true.
taught. He didn't sit him in a classroom for an hour and then, he walked with them.
Yeah.
Just a
yeah.
lot of things like that. So,
Isn't
Yeah.
that very true?
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Yep. All right. Well, so we're coming to the end of it, and Christina Miller's got a question. Church service, all mass for everyone now.
This is
Outdoors?
Christina. Hang in there. What the governor announced just within the past 2 hours, we're still filtering it and deciphering it, and we're going to look to PA Live. The guys who've been kind of guiding all of our churches in the state of Pennsylvania and interpreting a lot of the mandates and edicts and laws and semi-laws and everything else. And so we're going to kind of decipher that. So I have that as a comment to make, is that everyone needs to stay tuned over the weekend to Facebook, to email, to everything else to figure out how we're supposed to all dress for church on Sunday. But I would recommend that you bring a mask just to be sure. All right. So we don't know. We're figuring it out. So
Yeah, don't know. Yep. So, so that's probably just a good two things to close with. Then would be a reminder about tomorrow night. Parents, volunteers, 6:30. We are going to meet here. We'll let you know. We had planned on doing it in the auditorium, and we were going to do, kind of like when you're at a restaurant, you wear the mask to your seat. You can take it off when you get there. Not sure how today's thing, we're not sure really what that does for us exactly yet. We think we know, but we're trying to make sure. And so we'll let you know, because we may move it outside if we can or something. But either way, we want you to be here at 6:30 tomorrow night, because we want to hear from you.
and there's childcare,
And
right?
There is childcare.
Okay, great.
Yes, you need to RSVP through the link that we sent out if you want
Or you
childcare.
could even comment. You can even say, if you're watching tonight and you want to
Oh,
comment
yeah.
and say, I want to come tomorrow night, I need childcare, just put it in there and we'll pick up on that.
Yeah, that would work too. If,
Obviously, I might have misspoke. He didn't like that
no,
idea.
that'll work too.
Okay, very good.
If possible, to make other childcare arrangements, just because of all the craziness and now it looks like kids have to probably wear masks too, if we're reading the new order right.
That's what it says.
If you can make other arrangements for them, then that's probably best. But we don't want that to keep you away. That's the bottom line. We don't want not being able to figure out what to do with your kids at home. We don't want that to keep you away from coming here. We'd rather have you here. So we do have childcare that we're going to offer, and so just let us know, either RSVP or you can put it in the comments here if you want to be here and you need childcare. We're also, if we go outside, I'm not sure how well it'll work. If we're inside, we think that we can put it on Zoom. We're going to try to do that too, so that people can watch. And hopefully we'll have audio that's good enough that you can hear everything that's being said. So if you want the Zoom link, you can't make it, but you want to watch, then just let me know. You can shoot me an email or maybe put it in the comments here, and I'll try to send out a Zoom link for that too tomorrow. So that's the one thing. That's tomorrow night at 6:30. The other thing would be, I think that the weather looks good on Sunday, but like we all of a sudden live in Florida and it rains every day now in the evening. So just watch, Facebook and your email and stuff to see what we're going to do about masks. But also,
If we have to make a
if the
weather
weather
call.
changes between now and then, we have to make a weather change, then, just pay attention to that so you know whether to come here or turn on your TV on Sunday morning. So those are my big announcements.
Yep, it is.
So, hopes that can kids join us if we have them entertained. Yeah, you can have the kids, and you can bring Quincy. You can have him sit with you. That'd be fine.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
anything else?
No, it's great.
Anything else out there?
We want to say thank you to Dan Andros again for running our tech side tonight. He did a great job.
Yep.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
Yep. And I think that's it.
That's
Yeah.
it. All right, great.
So
Thanks for having me. It's
Hey,
really fun.
thanks for
Yeah,
being here,
thanks for-
Marla. Yeah.
being here and So we're looking
Thank
forward
you,
to
everyone, for
tomorrow night.
tuning in. We appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank you guys. Nice
Yep.
to hear
Very
from
much.
you.
All right. Well, good night then.
Good night.
Good night. Good night, India, down there in Garland, Texas.